Hello class, in today's video we're going to be looking at buying on terms. The learning intention of today's video is we're going to learn about different types of payment options. We're going to develop an understanding of what this term buying on terms mean. We're going to look at how to actually calculate the total repayments and cost of an item. And lastly, we're going to be able to calculate the monthly repayments of an item as well. I'm going to be using an example right now to help you guys understand what I mean by the words buying on terms, okay? So let's just say, for example, that the government has now lifted off all the restrictions in place. So that means we're able to freely go shops to things like David Jones, okay? So we're really excited to go shop at David Jones because we've been in isolation for God who knows how long. So we're really excited to actually spend some money, okay? So when we go to the store, we start to browse around, and what we then see is this really cool TV, okay? So on the right hand side of here, this is a very high techy TV. It's a rollable TV, okay? And it comes out from this little box over here, as you can see. Now, we really want to spend this because we've got a very old ancient TV, so we're looking to replace it. However, as you kind of come up to the TV and look at the price point, you see the price point being $60,000, okay? And you're like, holy cow, this is so expensive, and it's giving you a mini heart attack, okay? But this is the TV of your dreams, so you really want to buy it. Now, there are some issues related to products that cost too much, okay? And this will affect both the consumer, being us, as well as the businesses. And I want to just unpack what these issues are. So for us, if an item is too high, what this is going to do is that this isn't going to prevent us from buying the actual item, because most people don't actually have this amount of money saved up in their account, okay? And secondly, we don't actually want to buy an item as expensive as this $60,000 TV, is because we generally want to save that money just in case of any other emergencies or other special events, okay? So this is the reason why consumers such as us don't want to spend too much on a $60,000 TV. Now, how is this going to negatively impact retailers? Well, it's going to negatively impact retailers because when you have expensive items, generally speaking, you're not going to be able to sell it because people can't afford it. And because people can't afford it, you're not going to make any profits. And because you're not going to make out of profits, you're going to get out of business, okay? So as you can see over here, having expensive items is going to negatively affect both the consumers as well as the retailers, okay? So what can we do in order to, benefit both the consumers as well as the retailers? The consumers want to have the product, they want to have the expensive TV, and the retailers want to be able to sell it. And the way that they do that is by something referred to as buying on terms. So let me explain what buying on terms means. So the way it works is something similar to this, okay? So over here, this represents the consumers, okay? And in order for you to actually obtain the product, to obtain the TV of your dreams, what you'll do is you'll pretty much give them a higher price than the actual marked price, okay? So you'll be saying, hey, yo, cuz, if you give me that TV now, I'll promise to pay you $60,000 plus an extra $30,000 on top, if you give me the TV now, okay? So in doing so, the business will then make a profit. And generally speaking, the businesses will accept this because they're going to make extra profit on top, okay? So this is a win-win situation. And as I said, this situation is what we refer to as buying on terms. Now, this slide over here summarizes what buying on terms is very clearly, okay? So buying on terms, which is also known as paying with finance or on credit, is a type of payment plan. So a plan meaning it's a contract, so you're locked in, which involves paying off the expensive item over time, generally after that you've made a deposit up front, okay? So you might be paying, like, let's say $5,000, $500, whatever the amount is. You pay that up front, and then what you need to do is you need to pay off the remaining amount. And this remaining amount is what we refer to as the balance over here. And this balance is going to incur some interest on top of that, because that's how the business is going to make extra profit. Now, there's a special term over here that you need to understand, okay? And this term is the word repayment. And when I'm talking about repayment, I'm talking about how much did you have to pay after you made the deposit, plus the actual simple interest on top of that, okay? And this won't make any sense now, but after I go through some examples with you, you'll understand what I mean by the word repayment. So because you're actually paying simple interest on top of that, this would make sense that the total cost of the item that you've actually paid for, so in this case the TV, is going to exceed the $60,000 price mark that was initially labeled when you went into store. Now this slide over here says that the deposit that you make is often expressed as a percentage of the product value. So what this means is that, for instance, we said that the price of the rollable TV was $60,000. So when you make a deposit, oftentimes the paperwork will say you'll need to pay 10% upfront, or he might say pay 15%, 25%. So it's always going to say as a percentage. So that's what I mean by this particular statement over here. And obviously these contracts are just going to depend on the item as well as the store that you visit as well. What we're going to be looking at now is we're going to be looking at two specific examples so that you have an understanding of how to actually calculate the total cost that you've made for the item, the total repayments, as well as the monthly repayments you make per month to pay off the total cost of the actual item. In our very first example, it reads, the cash price of a computer is $2,400. It can be purchased on the following terms. You pay 25% deposit and make payments of $16.73 per week for 3 years continuously. Calculate the total cost of the computer purchase on these terms as described above, okay? So let me just unpack that again. The cost of the computer costs $2,400, and what you do is you paid a deposit of 25%. So find out what is 25% of 2,400. That's the initial amount that you paid up front, okay? And then it tells you that to pay off the debt, what you did is that you've actually paid $16.73 per week for 3 years straight so that you can actually pay off the total cost of the computer, okay? And what you want to do is you want to calculate the total cost. So the way that we do this is by following these 3 steps over here. So firstly, what you need to do is you need to calculate what is the deposit that you made initially. Then what you need to do is you need to calculate how much that you have to pay. So what is your final repayments? So remember, the repayments is the balance, how much you have to pay left after you've made the deposit plus the interest on top. And then to find out what the total cost is, it's just going to be your total repayments plus the initial deposit that you've actually made. So what I've already done is I've already pretty much highlighted the key pieces of information. And now what I'll do is I want to calculate the initial deposit that I've actually made. So find out what is 25% of 2,400. That's the initial amount I paid up front. So in this case, I'll go 25 over 100 because remember the percentage means out of 100. So 25 over 100 multiplied by 2,400. If you do this, then what you've done is that you've actually paid $600 up front. Now, our second step is I'm going to have to calculate what is the total amount of repayments that you've made over the stated time period. So in this case, over 3 years. Now, this question says that you've made $16.70. You pay $16.73 per week for 3 years. So in order to calculate the total repayment, it's going to be $16.73 multiplied by 52 because there's 52 weeks in a year multiplied by 3. And if you did this, then you should get an answer of $2,609.88. So this is the total amount that you need to pay on top of the deposit you've made so that you can actually pay off the computer, okay? So now, in order for you guys to actually calculate what is the total cost that you've actually made for this particular computer, it's just going to be the deposit you've made plus the repayments, okay? So in this case, it's going to be $600 plus $2,609.88, and therefore the total cost for the computer that you've actually paid for was therefore going to be $3,209.88. And notice that this is significantly larger than the initial price, and that should be the case because you didn't have that money up front, you have to pay interest on top of that, which is why you pay a higher fee. Let's look at the second example, and hopefully after you do the second example, you're going to have a better understanding of buying on terms. So the second example reads, a diamond engagement ring has a purchase price of $2,500, okay? Michael buys the ring on the following terms: 10% deposit with the balance plus simple interest paid monthly at 12% per annum over 3 years. Now, as you can see, this question is a bit different because it doesn't actually tell you how much you paid weekly. So in this case, you actually need to physically calculate the repayments yourself. So what I'm going to do again, like my other example, is I'm just going to highlight the key important information, and now I can actually start answering the question. So part A wants you to calculate the deposit. So how much did you actually pay upfront? So Michael paid 10% deposit, okay? And the ring cost 2,500. So find out what is 10% of 2,500. In this case, it's going to equal to $250. So that's the answer for part A. Part B reads, what is the balance owing after the initial deposit? So how much do you still technically owe after you pay the initial $250? So in this case, the balance is just going to be obtained by going 2,500, which is the cost of the ring, subtract by the deposit you made. So therefore, you still technically owe $250. So that's the answer for part B. Now for part C, how much interest are you going to be charged with? Okay, so remember, this is the amount that you still need to pay off, and you don't have the amount. So technically what's happening is that you're borrowing $2,250 and you're going to be charged simple interest. So we're going to be using the simple interest formula to actually calculate this. In this case over here, 2,250 is going to be your principal, because that's the amount you need to borrow. Your interest rate is going to equal to 12%, and your T value, the time period, is going to be equal to 3 years. So if you substitute it into the simple interest formula, then your answer is going to equal to $810. Okay, so that's the answer for part C. Now for part D, it reads, what is the total amount you need to repay, total amount to be repaid? So remember, your repayments is going to be equal to the balance or the principal. So that's going to be $2,250 plus the interest charge on top of that. So if you add these two values together, then you're going to get an answer of $3,060. So that's the answer for part D. Now, in order for you to find the amount of each monthly. Now, in order for us to calculate the monthly repayment for this, okay, please bear in mind that this answer that you just got is the total repayments that you need to make after 3 years, okay? But remember, you're paying this periodically, you're paying this monthly. So in order to find out how much you paid per month so that you could pay this amount off, what you need to do is you just need to divide it by 36, because each month there's 12 months in a year, and you're paying this off over 3 years. So that's why I went 36 in this case. And if you divide it by 36, then what you're doing is you're actually paying $85 per month. And if you do this for 3 years, then you're actually paying off this amount over here. Okay, class, what I'd like you to do now is I want you to have a go at answering this question over here. I do want to give you a heads up that this example is a bit more difficult than the other examples, but I'm quite confident that you guys will be able to get the correct answer afterwards. So please give yourself 10 minutes, take your time answering this question, and then we'll compare our answers together. Okay, so for this particular question, it reads, Ashley bought a $700 fridge. She paid a 20% deposit and arranged finance, meaning buying on terms, for the outstanding amount at 15% flat rate interest for 2 years. So that's just a simple interest rate of 15%. Okay, so the first part asks you to calculate how much interest that she needs to pay. Okay, now in order to do that, we kind of need to actually first find out what is the deposit that actually paid, and then find out what is the balance after that, so that we can actually calculate the interest. Okay, usually part A, like in the other examples, it needed you to actually calculate the deposit first. In this case, it didn't actually tell you, so that's what you have to actually be aware of. So in this case here, let's find out what is the initial amount that Ashley's paid upfront. So 20% of $700 is going to equal to $140. So this is the amount Ashley has paid upfront. And after we've calculated the deposit, then we could actually calculate what the balance is going to be. So the balance meaning what is the amount of money that Ashley still needs to pay or owe after she's made the deposit. So therefore, that's going to be 700 minus 140. This will give you an answer of $560. So this is the amount that she currently owes because she doesn't actually have enough money. So what happens is that this now becomes the principal, okay? So the interest that's going to be charged is going to therefore be 560 multiplied by the interest rate, which is 15%, multiplied by 2 years over 100. And if you did this, then the interest that you're being charged with for borrowing $560 is going to be $168. Therefore, this is the answer for part A. So it's going to be $168. This is the simple interest that Ashley is being charged with. Now, part B is saying, what is the total amount that Ashley has paid for the fridge. Okay, so the total cost of the fridge is shown over here by this formula. It's going to be the principal or the balance, which is 560, plus the interest, which is 168 for because you didn't have enough money, plus the initial deposit that you've made. Okay, so therefore, if you did this, this is going to be an answer of $868. Now for part C, it's asking if Ashley made monthly repayments for the fridge, how much did she pay each month, or how much was each payment? Okay, so we said earlier on that now, in order for us to actually calculate the monthly payments, we actually need to calculate what are the repayments first. Now, what we've solved for part B earlier on was the total cost, not the total repayments. The total repayments, remember, as I said, is just the principal plus the interest, okay? So repayments is principal plus interest, so which in this case is going to be 560 plus the $168. So therefore, your total repayments that you need to make after 2 years is $728. Now, to calculate what your monthly repayments are, it's just going to be 728 divided by how many months there are in 2 years. In this case, that's going to be 24. So 728 divided by 24 is going to equal to $30.33. So that's how much you'll be paying per month to actually pay off your debt, your total repayment in this case. Alright guys, what I want you to do now is I want you to answer the following review questions. There are several review questions and I don't actually expect you all to finish it in today's period. You are going to have extra time on Friday to actually catch up on any work that you haven't completed. So I want you to be answering questions 1, 2, 4, as well as questions 6 and 8. I've also attached the solutions to these review questions as well. So if you've done these questions, then these are the answers over here so you can actually double check. This is the end of today's video. Hopefully this video helped you out. I'll see you guys again in the next video. Bye.